Okay, so hello and welcome guys to Sonic the Hedgehog, and first of all I want to mention, I finally got a proper filming background. This is a wooden board from a table I found in my garage when I was cleaning out some mess. Parents let me to keep it up here. They don't mind if I destroy it, so I can make some destructive stuff on it. So yeah, I want to mention that basically I just put that horrible cockpit poster that was here, rolled it up and put it in my cupboard. Because it's a childhood memory. I made it when I was like 7 years old. So now it is 7 years old because I'm 14, you know. 7 plus 7 equals 14. Anyways, let's not care about this. I kept it pure because it's a childhood memory. I would have probably thrown it out, but I kept it. Parents were forcing me to throw it out, but I said to them, no, it's my childhood memory. It's the same if you're forcing me to throw out my plushies. Like, that's the same thing. Anyways, the topic I want to cover today here is this thing which I found thrown out. Now, I live in a village. I live right next to a city, which is, I'm not gonna reveal the name of this city. You pretty much all have to know. You pretty much all know that I live in Czech Republic, okay? That's all you need to know. I'm not gonna reveal the specific place in Czech Republic where I live. But yeah. Also, a chap, one of my friends, which is watching this channel, has been asking me, how am I like that perfect in English? And he thought that I maybe lived in America or Britain, and then I just like moved to Czech Republic. No, I was born in Czech Republic. I can speak Czech, of course, because I was born in Czech Republic. It just so happens that I'm one of the best students in English, actually. There's also a girl with me from the same class I am in. We are like called the two best ones. They actually attend to call us the best ones in English on our school. Anyways, let's just cover this topic. So this is quite an interesting thing which we never covered before, and I never have had a look inside of it yet. We'll have a first impression when opening this up. I haven't had a look inside, okay? I found it yesterday, and I just, you know, it's morning, like, it's around 7 a.m., so, it's like 7 o'clock. By the way, all the pesky Americans, 24-hour clock format is way more intuitive than, for me, it's way more intuitive than the 12-hour clock format, you know, but let's stop rambling and get into this. So I got a little backstory for this. So first, you probably all know I am called Sonic the Hedgehog on YouTube. I'm a big fan of Sonic. I have a Sonic costume, and I tend to put that costume on and ride to my city on my bike and, you know, drive around there, around all the playgrounds and make some photos with the kids, and kids are happy. But right next to an Asian shop, which is right in the town square, like, there's actually a sort of town part which is called Dukla, and that's where, like, I tend to ride. Because first of all, I don't wear a helmet, I wear a mask, and I'm really fearing of meeting any police officers, so really I just wanna, you know, stay away from those highly frequented parts. So I stay in that town square as well, as it's much closer to my village than the other part of the city. Anyways, I was riding past some dumpsters and I seen this thing thrown out. So I just turned around to have a look at it and said, well, it's probably some sort of inline exhaust fan or some sort of vacuum cleaner. And when I had a closer look at it, I seen that it's got like this weird connector, which almost looks like an automotive connector. And then I seen these 3 pipes on the top, and I said, well, that reminds me of something. And then I looked here, and of course, there's a metal grate under which is a nice big fan. And on the other side, there's this sort of weird heatsink. This really reminded me of heatsink, so I thought, what could this be? And yes, it's a diesel air heater. See here, guys, I was just checking on my phone a minute after the video. And would you have a look at this? These things are ridiculously expensive. This costs around 9,500 Czech crowns, which is around $900. But more about on that later. As well as this looks in to be one for an automotive use, as well as it's an Etiso, but it's basically the same thing as mine Breno one. Julian Eyelet covered one of these. And, yep. I know how his looked like on the inside because he took it apart as well. But I don't know how mine is going to look inside. But it's going to be very reminiscent to it. And there's also draft inducer in here, which pulls fresh air in through here and expels it out of here. Well, anyways, so just talk about how would you connect this up. So these are the two cables. This runs to the fuel pump, and this is the power cable. There is some noticeable safety features which we shall talk about. But first, let me show you all these ports. So this is the fresh air input. There is a filter in here. Most of heaters tend to have the filter outside. The filter is actually built in here. This is actually a capsule. This is the exhaust, and this is the fuel input from the pump. Here is your air in. This is where the main blower sits, and then this is the air outtake, which this is the actual combustion chamber, the core of the heater. So let's have a look inside, and first, this back thing comes off. You can see that the blower nicely spins around, and then this bolt comes off. And now, I only took these bolts off. I didn't lift the cover, and it looks like there are some clips, so let me get a screwdriver. Which had ironically fell behind my bed. There it is. So let's just try and get into this. Oh, let's have a look at the number plate first. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, the clip's are already broken. But let's first of all have a look at the ratings. So it's a Brano Breeze Free. Brano is like a Czechoslovakian company, which I think started business in 1920, making automatic door shutters. You know, if you go to a restaurant or some sort of public building where they like have that little box or cylinder with an arm running to it. It's a gas-filled cylinder which automatically closes the door. Anyways, I shall probably put these bolts back on because this thing is starting to get kind of annoying, and I just don't want to spoil what's on the inside yet because I never seen for myself. Anyways, it's a Breeze Free. So this translates to, and I live in Czech Republic. This is made in Czech Republic, which is nice. Finally, I get to take apart a real Czech piece of electronics, apart from some Czechoslovakian junk from Tesla. But let's see. So it's the, diesel heater 2-in-1 R3. This is the ordering number. It's very faint, and I won't read it. Now, the heating power is 1900 watts / 900 watts. That's probably the two power settings. Then you've got the input voltage, which is 12 volts. It's very faint, but I can read it. And its power that it draws is 25 watts, so that will be possible the motor. And the fuel is naphtha, or diesel, made in Czech Republic, of course. And here's the manufacturing number on all of your other numbers. Anyways, let's take these bolts off again. This looks quite nice. And let's just lift the top off this. Okay. So this is the heater core, obviously. There's a piece of a shopping bag in there. I should probably take that away. Here is your blower. It is actually a bit squeaky, but that's because this thing is probably hella old. Here's the motor. And for the other parts, we'll have to lift this out. No doubt, this is a cap to replace the glow plug. Or, anyways, let's just take this out. Okay, so this entire body comes out. Oh, that's neat. Okay, it's the bottom. Let's put that away. Put this away as well. Cover. Wow, this is neat. I mean, this is pretty freaking neat. Anyways, let's have a look at this. So here is the blower, as mentioned previously. This thing, by the way, doesn't work, and I managed to lose the fuel pump on the ride back home. So, unfortunately, I didn't make it home with the pump. Anyways, I got most of it. Here is the actual motor. Where's the label of the motor? I want to read. I don't see much. It's just right behind the circuit board. It says it's 25 watts, so that's where the 25 watts come from. And it looks like it's 5,800 RPM. And it will be possibly 12 volts. And I think it's a DC motor, given the fact that there's an inline filter running into it as well, so it's got only 2 wires. And it also doesn't have any kind of how do you call it? I forgot anyways, like when you spin around the brushless DC fan, it like, you know, sort of wants to stop at certain places. That's just, it's a BLDC motor. This is just a normal brushed motor. Here's a glow plug. Now, I originally thought that these had spark plugs, but it's actually a glow plug. And what I really like about this one is you don't have to take it apart to replace the spark plug like the Julian Eilets one, which you had to lift the cover to do that. And it was also a higher power one anyways. You would take this cap off, and this will lead you to this part right here. I'm gonna zoom in on that. So this part right here, you would unscrew this, and then there is these two connections. And what you would do is you would take it out, and then you would disconnect these. Isn't that nifty? I cannot connect them back together. Like, this is pretty schmick. Okay. Second, here's the fuel line running right next to the glow plug. It's actually quite a bit different than the Julian Eilets one, and I think it's a bit better build quality. But again, it's built in Czech Republic. I thought this was some sort of off-brand Chinese one, but no, it's actually a proper Czech one. And if you notice right here, I'm gonna zoom in on that sticker. There's right there. It says that the producer is Brano, which means that it's a Czech. Which means that it is a Czech. It was made in Czech Republic, anyways. So here is the control board, and this one is actually quite a bit neater than the Julian Eilets one because it's got the baseboard. And there's some sort of other control board up the top of this. Here's the blower, and then this is the guide vanes, the output vanes for the blower. And there's the motor, which is only a single shaft motor. It spins both the blower as well as this part right here, which this is the draft inducer, and the rest of this is just a combustion chamber. And the draft inducer pulls fresh air through this air filter right here, through this cartridge into here, and then it expels it out and expels it into the burner. And then from the combustion chamber, the exhaust goes here. The fuel gets injected by the fuel pump right next to the spark plug right there. I'm gonna zoom down on the place where it goes in. It is right there. Just right there is the fuel pump. Is the fuel pipe. It goes in there and it goes right into the glow plug area. I keep saying spark plug, but it's a glow plug. Yeah, I know it's counterintuitive. Just do with it. Anyways, how these work is that this is basically really similar to a simple gas furnace. It's basically an air force burner, nothing else interesting. So it works like that. Basically ignites the diesel inside, it burns it. These outside vanes get hot, and then this blower. Let me just lift this. This blower right here, it spins up and it pushes air through here and expels it out the back, and it gets hot. It's quite nifty, huh? It's actually quite simply built, but this one actually is quite neat inside. I can tell you that. Okay, so let's have a look on the bottom here. There's two parts. There's the overheat cutoff, just a standard bimetallic thermostat, and then we've got a temperature sensor right here, which runs right to there, and the connector is a bit bent. It's quite an interesting one. There you go. Let me just reconnect it. There you go. So now let's have a look at the wiring. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at the wiring, then we'll have a look at the circuit board. So we've got this connector, this one right here with the thin wires and the male connector, and it runs right down to here. So that's the fuel pump. And next, this is the power input. If you have a look, there's two thin wires and two thick wires. The thick ones are red and blue, and those are probably plus and minus input, and they go right here into this connector on the circuit board. And then you've got two thin ones, the yellow and the green. And what seems interesting to me is that the green just runs straight to the circuit board, but the yellow actually loops off the wiring branch, goes to the overheat cutout, and then from the cutout it goes to this connector. So why is it wired on a separate circuit, I was wondering. And a little bit of brainstorming, I found out why that is. It is that if the thing was to overheat, if this was to cut out, and there's already mess falling out of it, out of the exhaust, if this thing right here was to cut out, it's done. I was wondering why it wasn't done on the main power input, and that's because it needs to run. The blower needs to run, in order for it to burn off the draft inducer and the blower have to run, because the draft inducer has to force the burner to, it basically has to burn off any excess fuel that has entered there, and this also has to cool off the thing, this main blower. And what I think it does is it gets its power from the red and blue, and you have to send a separate voltage. I believe it's like 5 volts on this one. You have to send a separate voltage down into the cutout, and and the circuit board monitors the voltage, and when the voltage goes blank, if the thing was to cut out or overheat, it wouldn't node out, it would shut off the fuel pump and let for all the fuel to burn off, and this thing would cool it off until it was to reset, and then would maybe react to it or power off completely. Anyways. And I think it's also a rather common safety feature. I think it's common on these style ones. Also, like, there's a manufacturer that's called Ateso. It's called Ateso, and which also makes these the same thing. And there's also, and yep, I'll mention that later. Anyways, I think it's a very common safety feature, so that way any kind of idiot cannot just turn it on by sending power right down to it. I tried it, and it won't do anything. It won't even run the blower. It would just flash a red light. And I actually know what's the problem on this one. The glow plug is burnt out, as well as when I looked at the fuel pump, it was badly stuck. I unfortunately didn't shoot any photos, but I just took it apart on the ride with a flathead screwdriver. Then I hid it in my pocket, purely because of course I had, and it was badly stuck, and I just took it. Maybe I just thought I could maybe clean it up, but no. So those are the 2 components that failed. The motor is all fine, but that's done, so it cannot turn on. I tried it, it won't. So when it doesn't receive voltage down there, it will just think that it's overheating, but no. It has to have a signal on the green wire from the control panel in order to actually start up even the motor, to actually even start up the motor. Which I thought was also kind of interesting. Anyways, the green wire, I think, is also used for sending a signal down to run on a high power or a low power. Because if you look on the bottom plate right here, it says it's 1900 watts / 900 watts. So yeah, that's it from the interesting wiring scheme. This sensor will probably to sense the accurate temperature, and yes, I shall take the circuit board out. But one little precaution for you guys: I'm not taking apart the combustion chamber first. I don't want to release any kind of toxic junk or anything. This isn't brand new like Julian Eyelet's one. This had been heavily used, because if you look up here, right here, if you just have a look at that thing, at that stamp right there, and the phone doesn't want to. Come on, listen to me. Everyone listen to me. I think it's about to crash. No, the thing just doesn't want to react. There it goes. See that right there? That is a manufacturing stamp, and it says it had been made in 2008. And I was riding past the area, but come on, there you go. When I was riding past the area that this was from, there was a little sort of workshop, and I heard something like run, and I seen fumes coming out of a little hose. And I have a friend, which actually has a grandpa, which had that work area, and he said that this heater was there. And it was heavily used. So if this was heavily used for 15 years straight, there is no way I'm opening this up. Basically, if this thing was used for 15 years straight, there's no way I'm opening up this combustion chamber. And second, I looked online for the prices of this. This thing is like worth, like, this costs around $900 new. It's like 19,500 Czech crowns, which is like around $900. You think I'm gonna destroy something like this? No way. Anyways, let me just try and get the circuit board out. So where is a crosshead screwdriver? We'll have a little search for one. Nope, I don't see any here. There's one on the ground. And I cleaned up the mess in my room, fortunately. Anyways, just try and get this thing out. Make sure I don't lose the screw. Standard self-tapper. I'll try and get this circuit board out. It's stuck on something. There it goes. Okay, so let's have a look at it. Let's try and disconnect the connectors, maybe. Right here. That kind of makes sense for me. Oh my gosh. Nope, it's not coming off. There's no way that that's gonna come off with any courage. As if you look at this, there's this separate control module, and under here, there's some spicy circuitry, possibly to power the glow plug. Actually not, because when I first actually seen these, I thought that there was some sort of circuitry to power the spark plug, because it was a high voltage. You know, it was a spark plug. This is a glow plug. Anyways, here is a little sensor, and there's magnets in this impeller. It's very hard to see in my lighting conditions, but trust me, there's magnets in there which then float against this sensor, and that's what tells it if the motor is spinning at what RPM as well, to actually regulate the RPM accurately. Anyways, let's just stick this back in here. I won't reverse engineer this because I'm not really particularly good at it. I am pretty good at electronics, but I'm only a beginner still. Like, I'm 14 years old. I'm not like BigClive.com or Julian Eilert or EV Block that could be just able, you know, to reverse engineer such a complicated circuit. Now I can reverse engineer simple circuits, but not so complicated like microcontroller circuits. I am not the one good at that. I'm good at soldering, but I'm not very good at this kind of stuff. Yes, let's put this back in. Let's see if I had damaged any components. I just bent this wire a bit. I just bent this connector. Huh? It should be okay. There you go, it looks as new. So yep, guys, so that's pretty much all I can tell you. I cannot exactly remember how these work. And as I said, I'm not taking apart the combustion chamber because first there will be some nasty toxic junk in there. And second, this thing is worth $900 and I don't want to destroy it, and I'm planning on trying to repair this thing. So if you want to see a repair episode, make sure to leave a like, maybe a comment, and make sure to subscribe, because I'm not gonna go into such a large project for myself, because we have heating in the house. No, it's not like I would need a new heater, definitely. And I'm wanting to do that only for you, and if you want to see it, just support for it, because I don't know if I even have the money, because I already all spent it on my flight simulator as well as on the old Rolls Royce that I'm repairing. So yep, I spent all my money, so I don't know if I have like money to buy a new spark plug, to buy a new glow plug, to buy the control panel for this thing, and to basically also buy a new fuel pump. So anyways, that's it, guys. We shall pop this back together, and I shall keep this as a little museum piece, because although being so old and being so heavily used, it's in a pretty remarkable condition. And the motor is also in good shape. It just needed to wipe it down with some wet towel, and it was all okay. Okay, need to align up perfectly. There you go. The bolt on the back here. There you go. The bolt on the front here. Okay. There you go. I just really love looking into that fan. It looks sick. Anyways, that's it for this video, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.